My name is Arya. I need to tell you my story because even though time has passed, I need to remember how beautiful all of this was. How everything in my life changed in one day. One supermarket. One meeting. I'd been married for 3 years. A normal life. A normal job at some company in downtown Boston. But my heart was empty. Dead, even. My husband, David, was a good man. Everyone said so. You're so lucky, Arya, my friends would tell me. He's so stable, so reliable. He worked in finance, made good money, never forgot our anniversary. On paper, he was perfect. But when he kissed me, I felt nothing. When he touched me, my body went cold. I'd lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering what was wrong with me. Why couldn't I love him the way a wife should love her husband? The guilt ate at me every single day. That Thursday afternoon, I left work early. I needed groceries, and honestly, I needed to clear my head. The fluorescent lights of Whole Foods buzzed overhead as I pushed my cart down the produce aisle, mindlessly picking up tomatoes, checking them, putting them back. That's when I saw her. She was standing by the organic section, examining avocados with this intense focus. But it wasn't what she was doing that made me stop breathing. It was her. She had this crew cut, jet black hair styled perfectly, sharp and confident. She was tall, maybe 6 feet, wearing a leather jacket over a simple white t-shirt and dark jeans. Everything about her screamed confidence. Power. When she turned slightly, I caught her profile, and my heart. God, my heart did something it had never done before. It jumped. It raced. It woke up. I stood there, frozen, holding a bell pepper I didn't remember picking up. She must have felt me staring because she turned, and our eyes met. Hers were dark brown, almost black, and when she looked at me, I felt like she could see everything. Every secret. Every lie I'd been telling myself. She smiled. Just a small smile, but it felt like the sun breaking through clouds. "Those are good," she said, nodding at the pepper in my hand. Her voice was low, smooth, with this hint of amusement. "What?" I managed to say, my voice coming out breathier than I intended. "The organic bell peppers. They're sweeter." She walked closer, and I caught her scent, something woody and expensive, like sandalwood and cedar. "I'm Isla, by the way." "Arya," I whispered, and I don't know why I whispered it. My hand trembled slightly as I put the pepper in my cart. "Pretty name." She tilted her head, studying me with those penetrating eyes. "You look lost." That word. Lost. It hit me right in the chest because that's exactly what I was. Lost in a marriage I didn't want. Lost in a life that didn't fit. Lost in my own skin. "I'm just grocery shopping," I said lamely. Isla laughed, and the sound made my stomach flip. "We're all just doing something, aren't we? But sometimes we're doing the wrong something." I should have walked away. I should have smiled politely and moved to another aisle. But I couldn't. My feet wouldn't move. "Do you all come here often?" God, that sounded like such a stupid pickup line. But I genuinely wanted to know. Wanted to know if I'd see her again. "I own a salon nearby. Isla's on 5th Street. Maybe you've seen it." She reached into her jacket pocket and pulled out a card, holding it out to me. "We do hair, but also we help people find themselves. Transform. Become who they're meant to be." Our fingers touched when I took the card, and I swear to God, it felt like electricity. My whole arm tingled. I should go," I stammered, suddenly terrified by what I was feeling, by how much I wanted to stay, by how I was imagining what her hands would feel like in my hair, on my skin. Of course. Isla's smile didn't fade, but something flickered in her eyes. Understanding, maybe. "But if you ever want that transformation, Arya, you know where to find me." I pushed my cart away, my legs shaking, my heart pounding so hard I thought everyone in the store could hear it. When I got to my car, I sat in the driver's seat for 20 minutes, just staring at her card. Isla, owner of Isla's salon. And underneath, in elegant script, where you become your truth. I drove home in a daze. David was already there, sitting on the couch watching football, drinking a beer. Our two-bedroom apartment in Cambridge felt suffocating suddenly, like the walls were closing in. "Hey, babe," he called without looking at me. "Can you make dinner?" "I'm starving." I looked at him, really looked at him. At his receding hairline, his soft stomach, his eyes that never really saw me. And I felt nothing. Nothing except the ghost of Isla's smile burned into my memory. That night, David wanted to have sex. He always wanted to on Thursdays, like it was scheduled maintenance for our marriage. He kissed me, his breath tasting like beer and nachos, his hands grabbing at my body like I was something he owned. I let him. I always let him. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, thinking about dark eyes and a crew cut and a voice that made my entire body wake up for the first time in, maybe ever. When he climbed on top of me, I closed my eyes. He pushed inside me without much foreplay. He never really understood that women needed that. His movements were mechanical, practiced, boring. 3 years of the same routine. Push, thrust, grunt, done. "You feel so good, babe," he panted, his hands rough on my breasts. I said nothing, just waited for it to be over. It took him maybe 5 minutes before he finished with a grunt, collapsing beside me. "That was great," he said, like he always did, completely oblivious to the fact that I hadn't felt a single thing. When he was done, he rolled over and fell asleep immediately, snoring softly. I went to the bathroom and cried silently, water running so he wouldn't hear. I pulled Isla's card from my purse and ran my fingers over the embossed letters. "Where you become your truth." I didn't sleep that night. I just kept replaying our meeting over and over. The way she looked at me. The way she made me feel seen. Alive. Terrified. Exhilarated. The next morning, David kissed me on the forehead before leaving for work. "Love you," he said automatically, like he was reading from a script he'd memorized years ago. "Yeah," I said, because I couldn't say it back. I'd never been able to say it back and mean it. I don't love him. The words came out before I could stop them, and once they were out, I couldn't take them back. Tears started streaming down my face. I don't love him. I've never loved him. I don't. I don't feel anything when he touches me. When he kisses me. When he... God, what's wrong with me? Isla's hands stilled. She moved around the chair, kneeling in front of me so we were eye to eye. She handed me a tissue from a box on the counter. "There's nothing wrong with you, Arya. Nothing at all." Her voice was so gentle, so sure. Sometimes we build lives we think we're supposed to have. We marry people we think we're supposed to marry. But our hearts know the truth, even when we're afraid to admit it. "What truth?" I whispered, even though I knew. God help me, I knew. Isla reached up and wiped a tear from my cheek with her thumb. That simple touch sent electricity through my entire body. "You know," she said quietly, "you've always known. You're just scared to say it out loud." We stayed like that, frozen, her hand on my face, my heart breaking and healing at the same time. I finally said. "I can't do this. I can't feel this. I'm married. I'm unhappy," Isla finished. "Miserable. Living a lie." "Yes," I sobbed. "Yes, all of that." She stood up slowly, and I immediately missed her touch. "I'm not going to push you, Arya. This has to be your choice. But I will tell you this. I felt something when I saw you in that supermarket. Something I haven't felt in a long time. And I think you felt it too. Am I wrong?" I couldn't speak. I could only shake my head. "So you have a choice to make." She walked to a small wine fridge in the corner and pulled out a bottle of white wine and 2 glasses. We can cut your hair, and you can go home to your husband and pretend none of this happened. Or, she poured the wine, handed me a glass. Or you can be honest with yourself about what you want. About who you are. I took the glass with shaking hands. I don't even know who I am. Yes, you do. Isla sat in the chair next to me, our knees almost touching. You're a woman who deserves to feel alive. To feel passion. To be with someone who makes your heart race. You're a woman who deserves to be happy. We sat there, drinking wine, talking. She told me about her life, how she'd grown up in a conservative family in Connecticut, how she'd known she was a lesbian since she was 15, how her family had rejected her when she came out at 18, how she'd moved to Boston with nothing but a duffel bag and a dream. I worked 3 jobs to put myself through cosmetology school, she said, her fingers tracing the rim of her wine glass. Waited tables, cleaned offices, worked retail. I lived in a studio apartment the size of a closet. But I was free. And that freedom was worth more than any comfort my family could have given me. Weren't you scared? I asked. Terrified. Every single day. But I was more scared of living a lie. Of being someone I wasn't. She looked at me intently. I dated women who wanted me to be more feminine, more traditional. One girlfriend, her name was Rebecca, she'd buy me dresses, makeup, tell me I'd be so pretty if I just grew my hair out. She was embarrassed to be seen with me when I looked too butch. That's awful, I said, feeling angry on her behalf. It was. But it taught me something important. If someone can't love you for who you really are, they don't deserve you. She leaned forward. I cut my hair short 6 years ago. Got this crew cut. Everyone said I'd lose clients. That women wouldn't want a lesbian who looked like me touching their hair. But you know what happened? I found my people. The women who didn't want to be told who to be. The ones who wanted to be free. And I built this. She gestured around us. A place where people can be themselves. I want to be free, I whispered. Then be free, Arya. Before I could think, before I could stop myself, I leaned forward and kissed her. Her lips were soft, softer than I'd imagined, and when she kissed me back, I felt like I was falling and flying at the same time. Her hand came up to cup my face, and I melted into her, into this feeling I'd never known existed. She tasted like wine and something sweet, and when her tongue touched mine, I gasped into her mouth. She pulled back slightly, breathing hard. Are you sure? She whispered against my lips. No, I admitted. But I've never been more sure of anything in my life. She kissed me again, deeper this time, her other hand sliding into my hair, pulling me closer. I stood up without breaking the kiss, and she stood with me, her body pressing against mine. I could feel her heartbeat, fast and strong, matching my own. Her hands moved to my waist, pulling me flush against her, and I moaned into her mouth. God, I'd never made that sound with David. Never felt this heat, this need, this desperate wanting. When we finally pulled apart, we were both breathing hard. Oh my God, I said. Oh my God, I'm married. I kissed you. Arya, I have to go. I stood up so fast I knocked over my wine glass. Red wine spread across the white floor like blood. I'm sorry. I can't do this. Wait, let me at least. Isla started to say, but I was already running. I ran out of the salon, ignoring Jade's confused look, ignoring Isla calling my name. I got in my car and drove home, my lips still tingling, my heart still racing, my body still on fire from one kiss. David was making dinner when I got home. Spaghetti. His one dish. Hey babe, you're late. I was getting worried. He came over to kiss me, and I turned my head so his lips hit my cheek instead. If he kissed me on the mouth, he'd taste her. He'd know. Sorry. Traffic was bad. Well, dinner's almost ready. Oh, and my mom called. She wants us to come over this weekend for Sunday dinner. I told her we'd be there. Of course he did. He never asked me. Just decided. I might have to work this weekend, I lied. Come on, Arya. You know how my mom gets when we cancel. Just come for a few hours. I nodded, too exhausted to argue. Well, dinner's almost ready. Oh, and my mom called. She wants us to come over this weekend for. I need to shower, I interrupted, already heading to the bathroom. I stood under the hot water for 30 minutes, trying to wash away the feeling of Isla's lips on mine. But I couldn't. God help me, I didn't want to. That night, David wanted sex again. He climbed on top of me, kissing my neck, his hands rough on my breasts, squeezing too hard like he always did. David, I'm not. I'm tired. Come on, babe. It's been almost a week. He kept going, pushing my legs apart with his knee. I let him. I always let him. But this time was different. This time, I closed my eyes and thought of Isla. Her hands. Her lips. Her voice saying, "You deserve to be happy." David pushed into me without much preparation, and I winced. He never noticed. He just started thrusting, chasing his own pleasure, his hands gripping my hips hard enough to bruise. "You're so tight tonight," he grunted. "Feels so good." I said nothing, just lay there, counting the seconds until it was over. But in my mind, I imagined it was Isla above me. Isla's hands touching me gently. Isla's mouth on my skin. Isla taking her time, caring about my pleasure, making me feel alive. And for the first time, I felt something during sex with my husband. I felt anger, rage, betrayal, not of him, but of myself. Because I was letting him use my body while my heart belonged to someone else. While my body wanted someone else. He finished with a grunt, pulling out and rolling over. "Love you, babe," he mumbled, already half asleep. I waited until his snoring filled the room. Then I got up and took another shower, scrubbing my skin until it was red, trying to wash away the guilt and the confusion and the desperate wanting. The next morning, there was a text from an unknown number. "It's Isla. Jade gave me your number. I hope that's okay. I just want you to know that whatever you decide, I'm here. No pressure. No expectations. Just, I'm here." I stared at that message for an hour, sitting in my car in the work parking lot. Then I wrote back, "I can't stop thinking about you. And I hate myself for it." Her reply came immediately, "Don't hate yourself for feeling alive." Over the next few weeks, Isla and I texted constantly. Nothing inappropriate, at least nothing David would understand if he saw my phone. But every message felt like a secret. Like a betrayal. Like the truth. "What are you doing?" she'd text. "Sitting in a meeting, wishing I was anywhere else. Come to the salon after work. I'll make you laugh." And I would go. I told David I'd joined a gym, that I was taking evening yoga classes. He was happy I was finally taking care of myself, not noticing that I never came home sweaty or in workout clothes. Not noticing anything. Isla never pushed. She never asked me to leave David. She just existed. She'd make me coffee in her private room at the salon. We'd talk about everything. Books, movies, our childhoods, our dreams. Sometimes we'd just sit in comfortable silence, and it felt more intimate than anything I'd ever experienced with David. She told me about the women she'd dated, how none of them had understood her. "They wanted me to be softer," she said one evening. We were sitting on the floor of her salon after hours, sharing a bottle of wine. The rest of her staff had gone home, leaving us alone in the warm glow of the vanity lights. More feminine. Less me. One girlfriend actually asked me to grow my hair out. Can you imagine? I looked at her crew cut, so sharp and perfect. "I can't imagine you any other way." "That's because you see me, Arya. Really see me." She reached over and tucked a strand of my blonde hair behind my ear, her fingers lingering on my cheek. "Just like I see you." "What do you see?" I whispered. "I see a woman who's terrified of being happy, Who's been told her whole life that she's supposed to want certain things? A husband, kids, a house in the suburbs. But that's not what you want, is it? I shook my head, tears forming. What do you want, Arya? You, I breathed. I want you. And I hate myself for it because I'm married and I'm supposed to love him and be happy with him, but I'm not. I'm not happy. I've never been happy. And then I met you, and for the first time in my life, I felt alive. Yes. The tears spilled over. So alive it scares me. Isla moved closer, her face inches from mine. Can I kiss you again? I nodded, and when her lips met mine, it was different from the first time. Slower. Deeper. Her hand cradled my face like I was something precious, something worth cherishing. I opened my mouth and tasted the wine on her tongue, felt her other hand slide into my hair, pulling me closer. We kissed until we couldn't breathe, until my entire body was on fire, until I was climbing into her lap and she was holding me like she'd never let go. Her hands moved under my shirt, touching the bare skin of my back, and I arched into her touch. Isla, I moaned against her mouth. She pulled back slightly, her eyes dark with desire. Tell me to stop and I will. Don't stop, I whispered. Please don't stop. Her hands moved to the front of my shirt, fingers working the buttons slowly, giving me time to change my mind. But I didn't want to change my mind. I wanted this. Wanted her. When my shirt was open, she looked at me like I was art. Like I was beautiful. David never looked at me like that. You're stunning, she whispered, her fingers tracing the edge of my bra. No one had ever called me stunning before. She leaned forward and kissed my collarbone, my shoulder, the swell of my breast above my bra. Her mouth was soft and warm, and every kiss sent shivers through my body. When her hand cupped my breast through the fabric, I gasped. Wait, she said suddenly, pulling back. Wait, Arya. You're still married. I don't want to be the reason your marriage ends. You need to figure out what you want first. I know what I want, I said, trying to kiss her again, trying to pull her back to me. She stopped me, her hands on my shoulders, holding me at arm's length. No, not like this. Go home. Think about this. Really think about it. Because if we do this, if we cross this line, everything changes. Your whole life changes. And you need to be sure that's what you want. I knew she was right. But God, I didn't want her to be right. I wanted her to take me right there on the salon floor. I wanted her to make me forget David existed. But she was stronger than me. She helped me button my shirt, her fingers gentle and sure. She called me an Uber, kissed my forehead, and sent me home. Think about it, she whispered as I left. Really think about what you want. And when you're ready, when you're really ready, I'll be here. David was asleep when I got home. I stood in our bedroom doorway, watching him snore, his mouth open, one arm flung over my side of the bed. This man I'd promised to love forever. This man who'd never made me feel 1/10 of what Isla made me feel with a single look. I couldn't do this anymore. But I was terrified. Over the next week, I barely slept. Every night, David would reach for me in bed, and I'd make excuses. I'm not feeling well. I have an early meeting tomorrow. I think I'm getting my period. He was getting frustrated. What's going on with you, Arya? We haven't had sex in 2 weeks. Are you mad at me or something? No, I'm just stressed with work. Then let me help you relax, he said, his hand sliding up my thigh. I felt sick. His touch made my skin crawl now. All I could think about was Isla. Her gentle hands. Her reverent kisses. The way she looked at me like I mattered. David, please. I'm really tired. He sighed heavily and rolled over. Fine. Whatever. I lay there in the dark, guilt eating at me. He was my husband. He deserved better than this. He deserved a wife who wanted him, who loved him, who could give him what he needed. But I couldn't be that wife. I'd never been that wife. The next day, I called in sick to work. I drove to Isla's salon, my heart pounding, my hands shaking on the steering wheel. Jade looked surprised to see me. Arya, Do you have an appointment? Is Isla here? She's with a client, but I'll wait. I sat in the waiting area for 45 minutes, my leg bouncing nervously, my mind racing. What was I doing? Was I really going to do this? Was I really going to throw away my marriage for a woman I'd only known a few weeks? But it wasn't just a few weeks. It felt like I'd known Isla my whole life. Like I'd been waiting for her my whole life. Finally, Isla emerged from her private room with a client, an older woman with a beautiful silver bob. They were laughing about something, and when Isla saw me, her smile faltered slightly. Arya, can we talk? She nodded, excusing herself from the client. Of course. Come on back. In her private room, she closed the door and turned to face me. Are you okay? I can't do this anymore, I said, my voice shaking. I can't pretend. I can't lie. I can't sleep next to him and wish I was with you. I can't. I can't live like this. Arya, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to ask for a divorce. I don't know how and I'm terrified, but I can't do this anymore. I can't be married to someone I don't love when. I took a deep breath. When I'm falling in love with you. The words hung in the air between us. Isla crossed the room in 3 steps and kissed me. Hard. Desperate. Like she'd been waiting her whole life to hear those words. I'm falling in love with you too, she whispered against my lips. God, Arya, I've been falling since the moment I saw you. We kissed like we were drowning and each other was air. Her hands were in my hair. Mine were gripping her shirt, pulling her closer, closer, never close enough. I want you, I gasped between kisses. I want you so badly. Not yet, she said, though I could hear the strain in her voice. Not until you're free. I want all of you, Arya. Not stolen moments. Not secrets. All of you. Then help me, I begged. Help me figure out how to do this. And she did. Isla held me while I cried that day. Then she helped me make a plan. First, you need to protect yourself financially, she said, ever practical. Open a separate bank account. Start transferring money from your joint account. Not a lot. Just a little each month so he doesn't notice. Get copies of all your important documents. Birth certificate, social security card, marriage license, tax returns. This feels so calculated, I said, feeling guilty. It is calculated. Leaving a marriage is a business transaction as much as it's an emotional one. You need to be smart about this. She squeezed my hand. I'm not trying to be cold. I just want to make sure you're protected. Over the next 2 weeks, I followed her advice. I opened an account at a different bank. I made copies of documents while David was at work. I looked at apartments online, trying to figure out what I could afford on my own. I also started seeing a therapist, Dr. Sarah Martinez. She was in her 50s, kind and non-judgmental. Tell me why you're here, she said in our first session. I think I'm gay, I blurted out. I'm married to a man, but I'm falling in love with a woman, and I don't know what to do. Okay, she said calmly. Let's start at the beginning. Over the next few sessions, I talked about everything. My childhood. My conservative parents. How I'd always felt different but couldn't name it. How I'd dated boys in high school and college because that's what you were supposed to do. How I'd married David because he was safe and stable, and my parents approved of him. Did you ever have feelings for women before Isla? Dr. Martinez asked. I don't know. Maybe. I had this friend in college, Jessica. We were really close. Too close, maybe. I used to get jealous when she dated guys. I thought it was just, I don't know, friendship. But looking back, I trailed off. Looking back, it might have been more, Dr. Martinez finished gently. Yes. Sexuality is complex, Arya. It's not always black and white. Some people know from a young age. Others figure it out later. There's no right or wrong timeline. But I'm 30 years old. How did I not know? Because you weren't ready to know. Because society teaches women that their value comes from being desirable to men, from getting married, from having children. It takes a lot of courage to step outside that narrative. I feel like a coward, I whispered. You're not a coward. You're here, aren't you? You're facing this. That takes tremendous bravery. Meanwhile, things at home were deteriorating. David knew something was wrong, but he couldn't figure out what. He kept trying to fix things in the only way he knew how. More date nights, more gifts, more attempts at sex. One night, he came home with flowers and a reservation at an expensive restaurant. Surprise. I know we've been off lately. I thought we could use a nice evening out. Reconnect. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell him that flowers and fancy dinners couldn't fix what was broken, but I couldn't. Not yet. At dinner, he reached across the table and took my hand. I love you, Arya. I know I'm not perfect. I know I work too much and I'm not always the most attentive husband. But I love you, and I want to make this work. I looked at him, really looked at him, and felt a wave of sadness. He wasn't a bad person. He was just wrong for me. Wrong for who I really was. David. Wait, let me finish. He pulled out a small box from his pocket, and my heart sank. I know our anniversary isn't for another month, but I wanted to give you this now. He opened the box to reveal a diamond necklace. Expensive. Beautiful. Completely impersonal. It's lovely, I said, because what else could I say? Try it on, he urged, standing up and coming around to my side of the table. I sat there, frozen, as he clasped the necklace around my neck. His fingers fumbled with the clasp, clumsy and hurried. When he was done, he kissed the back of my neck, and I had to suppress a shudder. Beautiful, he said. Just like you. But I didn't feel beautiful. I felt like I was wearing a chain. That night, emboldened by the wine from dinner and the romantic gesture, David was more insistent than usual. We got home, and he started kissing me the moment we walked through the door. I've missed you, he murmured against my neck. I've missed this. His hands were already pulling at my dress, pushing it up my thighs. I stood there, letting him, feeling nothing but a growing sense of dread. David, Come on, babe. It's been 3 weeks. I'm going crazy here. He was already hard, pressing against me through his pants. 3 weeks. Had it really been that long since I'd let him touch me? He led me to the bedroom, and I followed like a ghost. He undressed me quickly, efficiently, like he was unwrapping a present. His hands were rough, impatient. He pushed me onto the bed and climbed on top of me, kissing me hard, his tongue pushing into my mouth. I kissed him back mechanically, thinking of Isla, wishing it was her hands on my body, her mouth on my skin. David's hand moved between my legs, and he frowned. You're not wet. I just need a minute, I lied. Here, let me help. He pushed 2 fingers inside me roughly, and I winced. He mistook it for pleasure and started moving them faster. It hurt. Not physically. Well, a little physically because I wasn't aroused at all, but emotionally. This was what my sex life had become. My husband, desperately trying to turn me on, completely oblivious to the fact that I felt nothing, that I wanted nothing from him. After a minute of this, he gave up and spit on his hand, rubbing it between my legs. That better? I wanted to cry. Instead, I nodded. He pushed inside me, grunting with satisfaction. God, you're so tight. I wasn't tight. I was just dry and uninterested. He thrust into me hard and fast, chasing his own orgasm, his hands gripping my hips so hard I knew there would be bruises. I lay there, staring at the ceiling, counting the minutes until it was over. But this time something broke inside me. I couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't lie there and let him use my body while my heart and soul belonged to someone else. Stop, I said. He didn't hear me. He just kept going, his breath hot on my neck, his weight crushing me. Stop, I said louder, pushing at his shoulders. He stopped immediately, looking confused and hurt. What? What's wrong? I can't do this anymore. The words came out in a rush. I can't have sex with you. I can't pretend anymore. I can't pretend. His face darkened. What the hell are you talking about? What are you pretending? I sat up, pulling the sheet around myself. David, I need to tell you something. I should have told you a long time ago, but I was scared and confused and I didn't know how. Just say it, he snapped. I don't love you. The words hung in the air like bombs waiting to explode. I don't think I ever have. Not the way a wife should love her husband. And I can't. I can't keep doing this. I can't keep living this lie. His face went through a series of emotions. Confusion, hurt, anger, disgust. Living a lie? We've been married for 3 years. We've built a life together. We have friends, family, plans. I know. And I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But I can't do this anymore. Is there someone else? His voice was quiet now, dangerous. I could have lied. Should have lied. But I was so tired of lying. Yes. The silence was deafening. Who? He finally asked. Who is he? Someone from your work? Do I know him? It's not a him. I watched understanding dawn on his face. Watched it twist from confusion to disgust to rage. You're fucking kidding me. You're leaving me for a woman. He stood up, pacing the room, running his hands through his hair. This is insane. You're not gay, are ya? You're confused. You're going through something. We can get help. We can see a therapist. I've been seeing a therapist for weeks now, and she's helped me understand that this isn't confusion. This is who I am, who I've always been. No. He shook his head violently. No, this is bullshit. You're just going through a phase or something. You're having some kind of crisis. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, David. I'm not broken. I'm gay. And I should have figured that out before I married you, and I'm so sorry I didn't. You deserve better than this. You deserve someone who loves you the way you should be loved. And you think some woman can give you what I can't? His voice was venomous now. How long has this been going on? How long have you been cheating on me? I haven't cheated. Bullshit. You just said there's someone else. We've kissed. Twice. That's all. I haven't slept with her. I wouldn't do that while I was still married. Oh, how noble of you. His voice was dripping with sarcasm. You've only kissed her. Well, thank God for small mercies. He grabbed a lamp from the bedside table and threw it against the wall. It shattered, making me flinch. David, get out. His voice was cold now. Flat. Get the fuck out of my house. David, please, can we just talk about this? Now. He was screaming now, his face red, veins bulging in his neck. Get out before I do something I'll regret. I scrambled off the bed, pulling on clothes as quickly as I could. Jeans. A t-shirt. I didn't bother with underwear. I just needed to get out. I ran to the closet and threw clothes into a bag, not even looking at what I was grabbing. Toiletries from the bathroom. My laptop. My phone charger. David stood in the hallway, watching me with a look of pure hatred. I loved you, he said as I rushed past him. I fucking loved you, Arya. And this is how you repay me? By turning into a dyke. The word hit me like a slap, but I kept moving. I grabbed my purse and my keys. I'll fight the divorce, he called after me as I headed for the door. I'll make sure you don't get a fucking dime. You broke our marriage vows. You're at fault. My lawyer is going to destroy you. I turned back to look at him one last time. I'm sorry, David. I really am. You didn't deserve this. You deserve someone who could love you properly. I'm just sorry I wasn't her. Get out, he said again, quieter this time but no less final. I left. I sat in my car in the parking lot for 10 minutes, shaking so hard I couldn't turn the key in the ignition. My phone buzzed. A text from David, don't come back. I'm changing the locks tomorrow. Another text. I'm calling my lawyer first thing Monday morning. And another. I hope she was worth it. I hope she was worth destroying our lives. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. I could only call one person. Isla answered on the first ring. Arya. I told him, I sobbed. I left. How can I come over? Of course. Of course you can. I'm at home. Do you remember the address? Yes. Drive carefully, okay? Take your time. I'll be here. I drove to her apartment in the South End, my vision blurred with tears. When I pulled up, she was already outside. Isla's apartment was nothing like I expected. I thought it would be sleek and modern like her salon, but it was warm, cozy, books everywhere, plants in every window, art on the walls, paintings of women, abstract pieces in bold colors, black and white photographs of city streets. The living room had a worn leather couch covered in soft blankets, and the whole place smelled like vanilla and coffee. She didn't ask questions that first night. She just made me tea, gave me one of her t-shirts to sleep in, and held me while I cried. We didn't kiss. We didn't have sex. She just held me, and somehow that was more intimate than anything I'd ever experienced with David. Stay as long as you need, she whispered into my hair. Days, weeks, months. I don't care. You're safe here. I stayed 3 days before I felt strong enough to function. Isla took those days off work, calling Jade to manage the salon. We spent the time talking, crying, planning. She made me meals I barely touched. She rubbed my back when the panic attacks came. She held my hand through the worst of it. I destroyed his life, I said on the third day, curled up on her couch. 3 years of marriage gone. Just like that. You didn't destroy anything, Isla said firmly. You were honest. That took courage. Yes, it hurt him. Yes, it was painful. But you know what would have been worse? Spending another 10, 20, 30 years living a lie. Growing to resent him more every day. Having children you didn't really want with a man you didn't love. That would have destroyed both your lives. He called me a dyke, I whispered. Isla's jaw tightened. He was hurt and angry. People say terrible things when they're hurt. But that word is only as powerful as you let it be. Yes, you're a lesbian. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing shameful. Nothing broken. My parents are going to disown me. Maybe. Maybe not. But if they do, that's their loss. Not yours. She took my hand. Arya, I know this is scary. I know you've lost a lot. But you've gained something too. You've gained yourself. Your truth. Your freedom. And I promise you, that's worth more than any approval from people who can't accept who you really are. On the 4th day, I went back to work. Michelle noticed immediately. Oh my God, are you okay? You look exhausted. I left David, I said quietly. No point in hiding it. Everyone would know soon enough. Her eyes went wide. What? When? Why? Last week. And it's complicated. She pulled me into a conference room. Talk to me. I took a deep breath. This was it. My first coming out. I'm gay, Michelle. I'm in love with a woman. I should have figured it out before I married him, but I didn't, and now I'm getting divorced. I braced myself for judgment, for disgust, for her to walk away. Instead, she hugged me. Oh, honey, that must have been so hard. Are you okay? Where are you staying? With her. The woman I'm in love with. Good? That's good. You shouldn't be alone right now. She pulled back and looked at me seriously. Is she treating you well? Because if she's not, I will personally kick her ass. I laughed through my tears. She's amazing. She's been so patient and kind, and then I'm happy for you. I mean, I'm sorry about the divorce. That's going to suck. But I'm happy you figured yourself out. Her acceptance meant more than I could express. But not everyone was as understanding. My parents called that evening. David had told them everything. Arya, what is going on? My mother's voice was tight. David called us. He said you left him. For a woman. Tell me he's lying. He's not lying, Mom. Silence. Then, this is unacceptable. You're married. You made vows before God. I know, Mom. And I tried. I really tried. But I can't be married to him. I'm gay. You are not gay. Her voice was ice cold. You're confused. You're going through something. This is that woman's influence. No, Mom. This is me. This is who I've always been. I just didn't know how to admit it. Then you need therapy. You need to pray. You need to come home and we'll figure this out. I am home, Mom. I am with someone who loves me for who I really am. That's disgusting. My father's voice came on the line. He must have picked up the other phone. I didn't raise my daughter to be like this. I know you didn't. But this is who I am. And I'm not going to apologize for it. Then don't come home, my mother said coldly. If you're going to choose this lifestyle, choose this sin. Then you're not welcome in our house. Mom. She hung up. I sat there, staring at my phone, feeling like my heart had been ripped out. I'd known they wouldn't accept it. But knowing and experiencing are two very different things. Isla found me on the bathroom floor 20 minutes later, sobbing so hard I couldn't breathe. They hate me, I gasped. My own parents hate me. I know, baby. I know. She held me, rocking me gently. I know how much it hurts. My parents did the same thing. Wouldn't talk to me for 2 years after I came out. Did they ever come around? My mom did. Eventually. Took her seeing how happy I was. My dad, no. We haven't spoken in 8 years. Her voice was sad but resigned. Some people can't get past their prejudices. And that's their loss, not yours. It doesn't feel like their loss. It feels like mine. I know. Right now it does. But one day, you'll realize that you're better off without people who can't love you unconditionally. You'll build your own family. People who choose you. Who celebrate you. And that will be enough. The divorce was brutal. David hired an aggressive lawyer who tried to paint me as an adulteress, a fraud, someone who'd married him under false pretenses. My lawyer, a sharp woman named Patricia Chen who specialized in LGBTQ divorces, fought back hard. He can claim adultery all he wants, Patricia said in one of our meetings. But you didn't cheat. You kissed someone twice. That's not adultery in the legal sense. And Massachusetts is a no-fault divorce state anyway. His hurt feelings don't entitle him to all your assets. The depositions were the worst. Sitting across from David, who looked at me like I was a stranger. A stranger he hated. Did you ever love me? His lawyer asked. Even at the beginning? I thought about lying, but I'd done enough lying. I thought I did. I wanted to. I tried to. But no. Not the way a wife should love her husband. David's face crumpled, and I felt like the worst person in the world. Did you have romantic or sexual feelings for women before you met Ms. Morales? I don't know. Maybe. I never let myself examine those feelings. So you married my client knowing you might be gay? I didn't know. I didn't let myself know. I was in denial. Convenient timing, don't you think? To figure this out 3 years into a marriage. It wasn't convenient at all, I said, my voice shaking. It was the hardest thing I've ever done. Admitting this destroyed my marriage, my relationship with my parents, my entire life as I knew it. Why would I choose that if it wasn't true? The lawyer had no answer for that. Through it all, Isla was my rock. She came to every meeting, every deposition, every court appearance. She held my hand in the hallways. She drove me home when I was too emotional to drive myself. She made me dinner and held me while I cried and reminded me every single day that I was brave, that I was strong, that I was doing the right thing. I love you, I told her one night lying in her bed. We still hadn't made love. She was waiting for the divorce to be final. I don't know what I would have done without you. You would have survived, she said, kissing my forehead. You're stronger than you think. But I'm glad I could be here for you. When this is over, when I'm finally free, I want to show you how much you mean to me. She smiled, her dark eyes warm. I'm counting on it. 6 months after I left David, The divorce was finalized. I signed the papers in a conference room, my hand shaking but my resolve firm. David wasn't there, he'd signed earlier. We'd settled on splitting our assets down the middle, which meant I walked away with very little. But I didn't care. I had my freedom. Patricia shook my hand. Congratulations, Ms. Chen. You're officially single. I walked out of that building feeling lighter than I had in years. Isla picked me up, and I kissed her right there on the street, not caring who saw. It's done, I said. I'm free. Then let's celebrate, she said, grinning. I have plans for you. She took me to her apartment, which she'd filled with candles and flowers. She'd made dinner, pasta with homemade sauce, garlic bread, a bottle of expensive wine. You didn't have to do all this, I said, touched. Yes, I did. This is a big day. The first day of your new life. Of our life together. We ate slowly, talking and laughing, the tension building between us with every glance, every accidental touch. After dinner, she took my hand and led me to her bedroom. Are you sure? She asked, her voice soft. We can wait if you're not ready. I've been ready since the moment I met you, I said. I'm not waiting anymore. She kissed me then, slow and deep, her hands gentle on my face. She undressed me carefully, reverently, like she was unwrapping something precious. When I was naked before her, she just looked at me. You're so beautiful, she whispered. No one had ever made me feel beautiful just by looking at me. She laid me on the bed and kissed every inch of my body. My neck, my shoulders, my breasts. She took her time, learning what made me gasp, what made me moan, what made my back arch off the bed. When her mouth found my breast, sucking gently on my nipple, I cried out. When her hands slid between my legs and found me wet and ready, I nearly came apart. Please, I begged. Please, Isla, tell me what you want, she murmured against my skin. You. I want you. All of you. She smiled against my stomach, kissing lower, lower, until her mouth was where I needed her most. The first touch of her tongue made me cry out. The second made me forget my own name. She knew exactly what to do, how to touch me, how to make my body sing in ways I'd never imagined possible. When I came, it was like shattering into a million pieces and being put back together all at once. I cried out her name, my hands in her hair, my body trembling with pleasure I'd never known existed. She crawled back up my body and kissed me, and I could taste myself on her lips. I love you, she whispered. I love you so much. I love you too, I said, tears streaming down my face. Thank you. Thank you for seeing me. For helping me find myself. We made love twice more that night. The second time, I learned her body, discovering what made her moan, what made her gasp my name. The third time, we fell asleep tangled together, exhausted and happy and home. The months after my divorce were hard, but they were also the happiest of my life. I moved my things officially into Isla's apartment. We combined our lives. Her books mixing with mine, her coffee mugs next to my teacups, her leather jacket hanging next to my coat. I met her friends properly, a group of queer women who welcomed me with open arms. There was Carmen and her wife Sophia, together for 10 years with 2 adopted kids. There was Alex, non-binary and fierce, who ran a tattoo shop downtown. There was Maya, a soft-spoken artist who painted the most beautiful portraits. And there was June, a lawyer who'd fought her own family's rejection and built an empire. Welcome to the family, Carmen said at our first dinner party together, raising her glass. We're so happy Isla finally found someone worthy of her. I don't know if I'm worthy, I said honestly. You left your entire life to be yourself, June said firmly. That makes you worthy. Trust me, we've all been there. We've all had to choose between comfort and truth. And you chose truth. That's what matters. I started therapy with Dr. Martinez twice a week, working through the guilt, the grief, the confusion. Working on accepting myself. Tell me about your childhood, she said in one session. When did you first feel different? I thought back. There was this girl, Emily, in middle school. She was my best friend. I was obsessed with her. I wanted to spend every moment with her. When she got a boyfriend in 8th grade, I was devastated. Didn't talk to her for weeks. I told myself I was just jealous because she was spending less time with me, but it was more than that, Dr. Martinez finished. Yeah. And in high school, I had this friend, Sarah. We'd have sleepovers and I'd feel things. When she'd change clothes in front of me. When we'd share a bed. I'd tell myself all girls felt that way about their friends, but deep down, I knew it was different. Why do you think you didn't accept it then? Because I couldn't. My parents were so conservative. Church every Sunday. They had very clear expectations. Marry a nice man, have babies, be a good Christian wife. The idea of being gay it wasn't even an option. It was sin. It was wrong. So I just pushed it down, ignored it, dated boys and told myself the feelings would come eventually. But they never did. No, never. And now, I smiled. Now I feel alive for the first time in my life. At work, most people were supportive. A few coworkers stopped talking to me, but I realized I didn't care. The ones who mattered stayed. Michelle became one of my closest friends, always asking about Isla, celebrating our relationship like it was the most normal thing in the world. You seem so much happier, she said one day at lunch. Like you're actually living instead of just existing. I said. For the first time, I'm actually living. Isla's business was thriving. She'd built something special at her salon, a space where women could be themselves, where they could transform, where they could find their truth. One evening, she came home excited. I have an idea, she said. What if we expanded? Opened a second location? Maybe hired more stylists who understand what it's like to not fit society's expectations. That sounds amazing, I said. What do you need from me? Help me with the business plan? The finances? You're so good with numbers and spreadsheets, and I'm not. So we became partners in business too. I'd spend evenings working on projections and budgets while she sketched out designs for the new space. We'd sit at her kitchen table, working side by side, occasionally stopping to kiss or talk about our future. I want to marry you someday, she said one night, out of the blue. My heart stopped. What? Not now. Not yet. You just got divorced. You need time. But someday when you're ready, I want to marry you. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I climbed into her lap, cupping her face. I want that too. Someday. Yeah. We kissed, slow and sweet, and I felt that familiar heat building between us. Even after months together, I still wanted her constantly, still craved her touch like I needed air. She must have felt it too because her hands slid under my shirt, warm against my skin. Bedroom, she murmured against my lips. Right here, I said, already pulling at her clothes. We made love on the kitchen floor, desperate and passionate, her body moving against mine, her fingers inside me, her mouth swallowing my moans. When we both came, we lay there panting, our bodies tangled together. I love you, I whispered. I love you too, she said. So fucking much. A year after my divorce was finalized, I got an unexpected call. My mother. Aria. Her voice was stiff, formal. How are you? I'm good, Mom. How are you? Silence. Then, your Aunt Mary told me she saw you. At that restaurant downtown. With her. Isla. Her name is Isla. Yes. Well, Aunt Mary said you looked happy. I didn't know what to say to that. Your father is still very upset, she continued. But I've been thinking. And praying. And I miss my daughter. My throat tightened. I miss you too, Mom. Can we have coffee? Just us? I want to talk. We met at a cafe in neutral territory. She looked older, more tired. When she saw me, her eyes filled with tears. You do look happy, she said, sitting down across from me. I am, Mom. Happier than I've ever been. She nodded slowly. I've been talking to Pastor Linda. the new pastor at our church. She has a different perspective on things than Pastor Tom did. She says that God loves all his children. That being gay isn't a sin. That love is love. I stared at her, barely daring to hope. I don't know if I fully believe that yet, she admitted. I was raised differently, but I do know that you're my daughter. And I love you. And I don't want to lose you over this. You won't lose me, I whispered. I'm still me, Mom. I'm finally being honest about who I am. She reached across the table and took my hand. Tell me about her. About Isla. So I did. I told her about the salon, about how we met, about how Isla had helped me find myself. I told her about our plans for the future, about the second salon we were opening, about how happy I was. My mother listened, really listened, and when I was done, she nodded. I'd like to meet her. Properly. Not just seeing you from across a restaurant. Really. If she's important to you, then I want to know her. The dinner happened 2 weeks later. I was so nervous I thought I might throw up. But Isla was perfect. Charming, respectful, answering all my mother's questions with grace and patience. What are your intentions with my daughter? My mother asked at one point, direct as always. Isla didn't hesitate. I intend to love her for the rest of my life, Mrs. Chen. To support her, to encourage her, to be her partner in every way. And someday, when she's ready, to marry her. My mother's eyes widened slightly, but she nodded. Good? That's good. It wasn't perfect. My father still refused to see me. My mother still struggled sometimes with calling Isla my girlfriend instead of my friend. But it was progress. It was hope. Meanwhile, life with Isla was everything I dreamed of and more. We opened the second salon, Isla's Haven, in Jamaica Plain. It was bigger than the first, with 6 stations and a private room for clients who wanted more discretion. We hired 4 new stylists, all queer, all passionate about helping people find themselves. The grand opening was packed. All our friends came. Michelle came with her husband. Even my mother came, which made me cry. I'm proud of you, she whispered, hugging me. Both of you. This is beautiful. That night, after everyone had left and we'd cleaned up, Isla and I sat in the empty salon, drinking champagne and admiring what we'd built. We did it, she said, grinning. We actually did it. You did it, I corrected. This was your dream. Our dream, she said firmly. Everything I do now is our dream. Our future. She set down her champagne and got down on one knee. My heart stopped. Ariadne, I know we said someday, but I don't want to wait anymore. I want to wake up every morning knowing you're mine and I'm yours. I want to build a life with you, a family with you. I want to grow old with you. She pulled out a small velvet box. Will you marry me? I was crying too hard to speak, so I just nodded frantically. She slid the ring on my finger, a simple silver band with 3 small diamonds. Perfect. Just like us. Yes, I finally managed to say. Yes, 1,000 times yes. We kissed, and it felt like coming home. We planned the wedding for 6 months later. Enough time to prepare, but not so long that we had to wait forever. It would be small, intimate, just our closest friends and family. My mother helped me pick out my dress, a simple white gown, elegant and understated. Isla wore a tailored black suit that made her look like a movie star. The ceremony was held at the salon, our salon, where it had all begun in a way. Where I'd first admitted my truth. Where I'd first kissed her. Carmen officiated, her voice warm and full of joy. Love is a courageous act, she said. It requires us to be vulnerable, to be honest, to be brave. Aria and Isla have shown us what true courage looks like, choosing love even when it's hard, even when it costs everything, even when the world says no. They chose each other. They chose truth. They chose joy. When it was time for vows, I went first. Isla, when I met you, I was lost. I was dying inside and didn't even know it. You helped me find myself. You showed me what it feels like to be truly seen, truly loved, truly alive. You never pushed me. You just existed. And your existence made me brave enough to become who I was always meant to be. I promise to love you fiercely, to support your dreams, to be your partner in all things. I promise to see you, always the way you first saw me. I promise to be your home. I was crying by the end, and so was half the room. Isla took a deep breath, her own eyes wet. Arya, the first time I saw you in that supermarket, I thought you were the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. But you also looked so sad, so lost. And I wanted to help you find your way. I never imagined you'd become my way. My home. My everything. You chose yourself when it would have been easier to stay comfortable. You chose truth when lies would have been safer. You chose me when you could have chosen conformity. I will spend the rest of my life making sure you never regret that choice. I promise to be your safe place, your adventure, your truth. I promise to love you with everything I have, for as long as I live. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. By the power vested in me by the state of Massachusetts, Carmen said, grinning through her own tears, I now pronounce you wife and wife. You may kiss your bride. We kissed, and everyone cheered. My mother cried. Michelle threw flower petals. Alex whistled so loud I thought my eardrums might burst. The reception was perfect. Good food, good wine, good music, good people. We danced our first dance to At Last by Etta James, holding each other close, swaying gently. I can't believe this is real, I whispered against her neck. Believe it, she whispered back. You're stuck with me now. Good. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Later, my mother approached us. She hugged me first, then, to my shock, hugged Isla. Welcome to the family, she said. Take care of my daughter. Always, Isla promised. That night, in our hotel room, we'd splurged on the penthouse suite at the Four Seasons. Isla carried me over the threshold. Hello, Mrs. Morales, she said, setting me down gently. Actually, I'm keeping Chen, I said. But you can call me your wife. My wife, she repeated, like she was tasting the words. I like the sound of that. She unzipped my dress slowly, kissing each inch of skin as it was revealed. When I was naked before her, she just looked at me, her eyes dark with desire and love. You're perfect, she whispered. Only with you, I said. We made love slowly, tenderly, celebrating our union with our bodies. Her hands knew every inch of me now, every secret place that made me gasp. When she moved down my body and used her mouth to bring me to the edge and over, I cried out her name like a prayer. After, we lay tangled together, sweaty and satisfied and blissfully happy. I have a surprise for you, she said, reaching for something on the nightstand. Another surprise? Isn't marrying me enough? She laughed. This one you're going to love. She handed me an envelope. Inside were 2 plane tickets. To Paris. Our honeymoon, she said. 2 weeks in Paris. Starting tomorrow. I kissed her hard. Have I mentioned that I love you? Once or twice. But I never get tired of hearing it. We flew to Paris the next day, exhausted but exhilarated. The city was even more beautiful than I'd imagined. All cobblestone streets and cafe terraces and couples kissing on bridges. We stayed in a small hotel in Le Marais, the gay district. Our room was tiny but perfect, with windows overlooking a quiet courtyard and a bed just big enough for 2. The first morning, we woke up wrapped around each other, sunlight streaming through the gauzy curtains. I turned and looked at Isla, my wife, still sleeping, her crew cut messy, her face peaceful. I thought about that day in the supermarket. How lost I'd been. How dead inside. How I'd thought that was just life. That everyone felt that empty. That marriage was supposed to be an endurance test rather than a joy. I thought about David and hoped he'd found happiness. I hoped he'd found someone who could love him the way he deserved, the way I never could. But mostly I thought about how lucky I was, how brave I'd been, how choosing myself, my truth, had led me here. To Paris, to Isla, to a life I actually wanted to live. Isla's eyes fluttered open. "Good morning, wife," she murmured, pulling me close. "Good morning, wife," I whispered back. We made love slowly, tenderly, the sounds of Paris waking up drifting through our window. Church bells ringing, birds singing, the distant sound of a street musician playing accordion. Her hands moved over my body with reverence, bringing me pleasure in waves. "I love you," I gasped as she moved inside me, her fingers finding that perfect spot. "I love you too," she said, kissing me deeply. Always. After, we showered together, washing each other's hair, touching and kissing under the warm water. Then we dressed and went out to explore the city. We walked through the Tuileries garden, hand in hand. Two women in love. In Paris, no one stared. No one judged. We were just another couple, and it felt like freedom. We visited the Louvre and argued playfully about art. "The Mona Lisa is overrated," Isla declared, and I gasped in mock horror. We climbed to the top of the Eiffel Tower and kissed while tourists took our picture. We got lost in Montmartre and found a little bookstore that sold English novels. "Write our story," Isla said, buying me a leather-bound journal. "So you never forget how brave you were. How far we've come." That evening, we had dinner at a tiny bistro with mismatched chairs and candles on every table. We ordered wine and cheese and bread, and we talked about our future. "I want to adopt," Isla said suddenly. "Someday. Not right now, but someday. I want us to have a family." My heart swelled. I want that too. "I never thought I'd be a mother, but with you, I can see it. I can see us with a daughter. Or a son. Or both. Yeah. Yeah." We toasted to our future, to the children we'd have, to the life we'd build, to the love that would sustain us through everything. Over the next 2 weeks, we explored every arrondissement. We ate croissants for breakfast and drank wine at lunch and had long, leisurely dinners that stretched into the night. We visited museums and churches and gardens. We took a boat ride on the Seine, snuggled together under a blanket, watching the city lights twinkle like stars. And every night we made love. Sometimes slow and tender. Sometimes urgent and desperate. Sometimes playful and laughing. But always with love. Always with that deep connection that made everything else fade away. On our last night in Paris, we went to the Pont d'Arts bridge at sunset. The bridge where Isla had proposed. We added our own lock to the railing with our initials and the date. "This is our place," Isla said, wrapping her arms around me from behind. "Where we started this chapter. Where we'll come back to every year to remember. Promise." "I promise, Arya." "Every year. Paris. You and me." She turned me in her arms and kissed me, slow and deep, and I tasted our future in that kiss. Years of happiness. Years of love. Years of being seen and cherished and home. We watched the sun set over the Seine, the sky turning pink and orange and purple. And I thought about the woman I used to be, the one standing in a supermarket, holding a bell pepper, dying inside and not even knowing it. She felt like a stranger now, a ghost of a life I'd left behind. "Thank you," I whispered into Isla's shoulder. "For what?" "For seeing me. For waiting for me. For loving me even when I didn't know how to love myself." "You don't have to thank me for that," she said softly. "Loving you is the easiest thing I've ever done." We stood there until the stars came out, two women who'd found each other in a supermarket and built a life together. Two women who'd chosen truth over comfort, love over expectations, themselves over who they were supposed to be. And as the Eiffel Tower began to sparkle with its hourly light show, I realized something. I was home. Not in Paris, beautiful as it was. Not in Boston, familiar as it was. But here in Isla's arms. This was home. This was everything. "Ready to go back to the hotel?" Isla asked, kissing my temple. Only if you're going to make love to me again, I teased. Always, she promised, grinning. That's kind of my favorite hobby now. We walked back through the Paris streets, hand in hand, stopping occasionally to kiss on corners like the lovers we were. In our hotel room, we made love one last time in Paris, slow and sweet and perfect. After, as we lay tangled together, Isla pulled out the journal she'd bought me. Right, she said. Write it all down. So we never forget. So I did. I pulled on one of her t-shirts and sat at the tiny desk by the window while she dozed. And I wrote our story. From the beginning. From that moment in the supermarket when my life changed forever. When I was done, I closed the journal and looked out at the Paris night. Tomorrow we'd fly home. Back to Boston. Back to our salons and our life and our future. But we'd always have Paris. We'd always have this. I crawled back into bed and curled into Isla's warmth. She stirred, pulling me close. Love you, she mumbled, half asleep. Love you too, I whispered. Thank you for being my home. Always, she said. Forever. And I believed her. Because this was real. This was right. This was everything I'd been searching for without knowing what I was searching for. I closed my eyes and let sleep take me, dreaming of all the tomorrows we'd have together. All the breakfasts in our kitchen. All the nights tangled together. All the challenges we'd face and overcome. All the joy we'd share. All the love we'd give and receive. This was just the beginning. Our forever was just starting. And God, it was beautiful.
Thank you for watching Sapphic Story Hour. Please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, bye-bye.